The second slide, which you can't see, is simply to say, I've coined a word called travelism, because I think tourism is a really bad word. It's really bad. Because nobody really understands that it means all of traveling, that it means business travel as well as leisure travel. That it, as Eugenio said, it is domestic as well as international. And on this slide, what I've tried to show is there's a tip of an iceberg, which is what we deal with. And there's everything underneath that we know about, but you can't deal with it by saying tourism, because people's minds don't work that way. There's trade, there's investment, there's jobs, there's infrastructure, there's development, and there is human understanding. No other sector of the economy increases human understanding like travel and tourism. Nothing. Because it puts people together and gets you to understand other cultures and what makes us tick. Now, there's only 4 numbers that I think are particularly relevant. It doesn't matter where it is, it's 5 to 10% of the economy. Directly 5 and indirectly 10. All of the multipliers and indirect. Some of it in very tourism-centric areas, like the Caribbean, can be 30%. And in other areas it might be 2 or 3%. But grosso modo, you're talking about 5% of the economy, and this is quite kind of relevant, it's 5% of the CO2. Now, we actually should be diminishing that 5%, and the aviation is 2%. And deforestation, by the way, is 25%. And cities can amount up to 40 or 50%. So, put the aviation issue in perspective. 80% of the tourism and travelism, is domestic. And 80% of it in China. There are 1.9 billion trips taken domestically. That's twice as much as the international travel worldwide today. That's China. So this domestic part that Eugenio mentioned is hugely important as an economic drive. If you want to change economies and you say we need to increase consumption, start on the domestic, not the international. And that's the game. It's a huge, complex, intersecting industry, and if it's done properly, it can make a huge positive difference. That slide just says, all of that stuff you saw, it all has to be green tomorrow. I don't know when tomorrow is, it may be 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. It doesn't have to be greener than the rest of society. That's another thing that happens. You get tourism people sitting together and they start to bare their chest and say, we have to change. Of course we have to change, but we have to change like everybody else. A bit better than everybody else if we want to be responsible. But we don't have to be a martyr whilst everybody else is carrying on in their normal way. Right. So we have to get towards green aircraft and green trains and green cars. And if you look at the serious scientific research, there's a lot that's moving us that way. I don't want to belabor the aviation point, but modern aircraft are already 40% more fuel efficient than aircraft of 10, 15 years ago. Tomorrow's aircraft will be 40% more efficient again. Straighten the air routes out and you gain another 15% of fuel efficiency. So it's not just a question of carbon offsetting, and the airlines know this. The aircraft manufacturers know this. They don't want to be hung out there, so we shouldn't get hung up about it. That's what we have to change. Think about your daily business. Products, markets, consumers, supply chain, distribution, brand, investment. That's the direction we have to go, step by step, progressively. Now, if you look at the heavy document that they've got coming out of Rio, and Eugenio's right, it has got a tourism section in. The sustainable tourism section, by the way, again, only deals with ecotourism. It's very poor. But underneath it, there's a whole section on sustainable transport. And underneath that, there's another section on sustainable cities and lifestyles. You take the 3 sections together, and that's where we have to head. And that goes back to Harold's point. We don't have to be special. We just have to be in that mainstream area, slightly ahead of the game, if we want to get access to all that money that's available, and if we want to do the right thing. Now, you can't see that, but this is the book that we are launching this week. I have difficulty in coming and talking about this, however, because it's the book that I've been involved in. I'll tell you why I think it's different. A group of us who thought that the industry could move towards a green growth future, the whole industry, we sat down and said, what might make a difference? So I wrote a letter to 60 people who, by and large, I knew, and who I thought would have a good view on what this change could be. They were ranged from heads of state to, and we had got a really nice letter from the Prime Minister of Bhutan, to the Chairman of Airbus, to Richard Branson, to Harold Godwin, and Janine and Ignaz. And I have to say, I didn't do it properly because I was stupid. I should have written to you years ago, and I didn't. You don't get everybody. And we got back an incredible compendium of thoughts, because what I asked them to do was write a 4-page essay, Time magazine or Fortune style, about where you think we ought to go. Harold Godwin's essay on sustainable tourism should be a must-reading for everybody. And we put this together, and we're launching it in 2 days' time in Rio at a UNWTO side event, because there'll be a lot of people at that side event. And obviously I want to plug the book. But I didn't do it because I think it's a book. I think it's the start of a new learning system. I think what we were talking about, what Eugenio talked about, and I've been involved in, the old bureaucratic way of developing these lists and of having these meetings, it hasn't worked effectively. We need a new thought process. We need to get new ideas out. We need to use modern media. We need to use university collaboration in a different way than we've used it before. And we need to be doing this the same way as the next generation are playing on computers. None of the things that are going on in the bureaucracies that are determining the way we operate deal with that. So my plan is to take this book and to do certain things with it. One thing is we're going to create a Green Growth and Travelism Institute. I already have 10 universities who've committed to join an institute. If anybody's got any money, I'd like to talk to them afterwards. If we can get funding for it, 10 universities, and each one is taking a different issue. One's taking leadership, another's taking oceans, another one is taking destinations, another one is taking events. And each one is going to specialize on the intersect of these things and green growth and travelism. And this is also fitting into a concept that Maurice Strong has of creating a World Environment University, and this will be one of the 25 areas of the World Environment University. The second thing that I've done is, I'll be 5 minutes, how about that? Is that okay? The second thing that we've done is created a new bottom-up international organization. And the new bottom-up international organization, 2 minutes, is called the International Council of Tourism Partners, and it's basically open, free of charge, to destinations who want to get on the green growth path. And we're setting up an information system and communication system for a network of those destinations. We kind of pushed it about 6 months ago. We've got 100 destinations and 1,000 individuals who have joined, and some of the destinations are very significant. The China National Tourism Administration, as an example. You can't see any of these slides, it's really a pity. That's a website that we've created, it's a learning website. It's called greengrowth2050.com. greengrowth2050.com, and it's simply an information mechanism of all of the points of green growth from all over the place, and 2 learning streams, one at an academic level and one at an industry vocational level. And we are going to put in there cheap courses which only tell people about this green growth dimension. And then next year, or 18 months, we're going to ask people, including the same people, if their views have changed. So we have a new body of information. And last but not least, I've been working, I mentioned Valley, and you can't see that, but we've got a destination management system which asks the people what they want to have if our world evolved around certain long-term scenarios. Again, it's not the only one. None of this is unique. I'll finish by saying this. None of this is unique. There's many, many ideas, schemes, systems, networks out there. The one that I've tried to describe today is one which doesn't go through formal meetings of people going to different places and making lists and then going back and waiting for the next meeting so they can go make the list bigger. This is an information sharing and ideas creating, a creativity system. And it's not just me, it's a whole host of people who are cleverer than me in their specific areas, but who we brought together. So, that's it. Thank you.